Hello and welcome to the next episode of Rise and Vibe at the Mental Health Bar. I'm Jennifer Moore, your host, and I have here with me today Sophie. You know what? I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name. Is it Fontecchio?
It's Fontecchio.
Okay, because that's how I always say it. And I'm like, I don't even know if that's right. So, Sophie Fontecchio, founder of Let's Make the World a Better Place, a local nonprofit here in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Sophie, tell us a little bit about yourself and your nonprofit.
Yeah, so I am a high school senior right now. I'm about to graduate, kind of scary. But I started Let's Make the World a Better Place in 2021. We do a lot of work with advocacy and youth, and it's really around engaging youth and supporting like a lot of different causes and advocacy through baking, because I love baking, and really like the big thing that we try to hit at is that you can turn your passions into progress and like do like the small things that you really enjoy doing, like hobbies, and do them for change. And so we started in 2021. Didn't really start as a nonprofit. It really just started kind of as something that I wanted to do. I was friends with Ryland, and when I was coping with the loss of him, I was trying to find a healthy way to cope. I was trying to find something that would turn, such like a low point in my life into something like not happier, but, more to bring progress about. And so I thought about what I could do and what I know how to do and how I could help. And so, I was watching online the fundraiser actually, so that you could start Rise Above. And I was 14, so I couldn't I had no money. I had just gotten my job permit, and I was like, I didn't have a job or anything, and I wanted to be able to donate, but I couldn't donate because I didn't have the money. So I was trying to think of a way that I could raise the money, and my mind went back to like middle school and elementary school when I used to have bake sales, and you would sell like friendship bracelets. It's pretty much like a thing that like all kids do. And so I had a bake sale, and that first bake sale raised $600 for Rise Above. And then I realized, wow, I can keep doing this. And so that's kind of how it started and went about. And so now we have like monthly bake sales, and they fund different, a lot of local nonprofits, but also some bigger nonprofits. And then we also fund service projects and other things like that.
I think everything that you guys have done is really amazing. The charities that you've chosen to support, the projects that you've chosen to support have really clearly had an impact. It's been very exciting to watch it all unfold.
Thank you.
So given that you wanted to do something to make the world a better place and bring about change and also cope with your loss, how would you say that it's impacted your healing journey as well?
I think that like one thing that I have to say that I've done presentations and spoke before, and like a lot of the time it's to youth, and I've gotten the question before, like, how did you deal with the loss, and like how did you get over it? And I think like that's such like a thing where like I've never gotten over it. You don't just like get over a loss. It's more about like learning to live with it and learning to heal, and with time like it gets better, and it becomes like more of like a positive reflection, like thinking back at his life rather than thinking about like the horrible the ending. And so I would say like it definitely did help have like a positive light on it, thinking that I've been able to make an impact in like the realm of mental health, and be able to affect lots of kids and adults even who are struggling with their own mental health. And so like the thought of that I could be impacting those people has like, it's made a great difference, and it's like had a very positive effect. I mean, there's still times where I'm like supporting an organization and on their website and just like reading statistics, and it's just like so depressing, and it's like really hard, and it gets overwhelming really. But it has it's brought my mind away from like the horrible like bad parts of our world, and like I focus a lot on really like a thing I say you should really do, because there's a lot more positive than a lot of people make it out to have.
I agree with you completely. It's one of the reasons why I unfortunately don't watch the news, because they tend to focus on too much negative, and there's just so much good to be found out there. I'd much rather go find my own news.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So whenever you think about, your own mental health journey, and especially with, being a senior and applying to all these different schools and going through the traditional senior roles, but then everything else that you do on top of it with Let's Make the World a Better Place and some of your other activities that you can choose to name if you'd like. How would you say that you are finding your balance and like juggling your own mental health ups and downs, as we all have, but anything else that, you might specifically be going through? How do you manage that?
It definitely is juggling. I mean, managing, it's definitely really hard to manage. I do have diagnosed anxiety and ADHD, and I mean, it's really like come on in years when I've started like having all these things pile up where I've realized that it's a problem. And I will say, like, the ADHD part, it makes it really hard because I'll just like forget things. It'll go to the back of my mind, and when there's so many things in my hands, then like I'll be like, oh wait, we had that scheduled for today, and then like coming here, like I was supposed to be here at 5, and I had it scheduled on my calendar for 6. So I think that there's definitely like I have a planner, and there's like the simple ways that like people say to like organize, and it does help, but also just finding the things that you love and focusing on those parts, because I don't think that I'd be able to juggle it all if I didn't love what I do so much. I think that's definitely like this, like there's this perception that like you can do so many things, and like you don't have to like love all of them, and that like some of them, like kids will like do something like, I don't know, say they're just doing it for college or stuff like that, but like in reality, like it's so hard to do all of it. And if I like didn't make the world, I don't think I could, because like even just like one bake sale is so hectic. Like I'll be staying up till like 3 a.m. baking. Like it's a lot, but I mean, really, like this past year I've had to take like some steps back and realize that like I'm allowed to get help. Like I know that's like something that's so like easy to say, but it's so hard to come to terms with, like that you can like ask for help, and that you
and
don't
that
have to
people
do
want
everything.
to help.
Yes, that people actually like want to help. That's something that I've definitely learned through like Let's Make the World a Better Place, is the amount of people that reach out and are just like, oh, I want to help. I want to help you do this. And just reaching out for help can make all the difference, because I would not have been able to like get through this past year without like so much help, because I have to do like all my college applications, and then school is getting so much harder and things like that, that I've had the help of so many like amazing kids with our bake sales. We started our youth bakers and guest bakers, and so like they help with the baking, and it's not just like taking a little bit of the work off my hands, but it's also like they love to do it, and they love to see that they're making an impact, and it really like makes the impact greater. Like our sales with the guest bakers have been so much more, they've accumulated so much more funds, but I feel like I've gotten so off track, and I feel like that's just like visual of like the everything that's going on. But yeah, just taking it one day at a time. Also, it's definitely like so.
So that's another one that I feel is oftentimes easier said than done, especially since you do have a lot of things on your plate, and most seniors in the area do as well. What are your tips for staying in the present moment and taking today without worrying too much about tomorrow or thinking too much about the past?
It's hard, and I feel like it's hard to not like think about the past and worry about the future, and like think about like the unknowns, but like really just, it's like, I'm trying to think, like it's so hard to just say like focus on like the people around you and what you love, and like in the moment, and not think about like all the other things going on. But really, like it's just like, it's not simple, but it's like as simple as that in my mind. Like I don't know, like I have like a million assignments that I have to do when I get back home. Well, not a million, it's more like 4 or 5. But like I could be thinking about that right now, but I'm kind of just like putting them aside. Like I know like I will get to it, and I will go home, and I'll spend some time and I'll get it done. But like, I want to put my all into this right now, and I want to be here and like talk. And so I just have to put it aside for a second, though. Like, my anxiety is saying like, oh my gosh, how are you possibly gonna fit this in? But then I have to like remember that sometimes I'm overreacting. And then when it comes to like thinking about the past, really, I think that for me, I still think about the past a lot, but I try to think about it positively. And that's like been the big game changer, is because it's so easy to get stuck up on the like bad parts of the past and like think about like the negative things, and it's so easy to get stuck up on that. But like, when just like adjusting your attitude towards that, and trying to reflect more on like the positive things that have happened, and like focus on like the good things that you've achieved, and that that you're happy about, it makes the difference.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So it sounds like you use a couple of techniques, like coaching yourself through tough moments and reminding yourself to be where you are. Remembering that you can address that later, like, so putting it in a bucket for later. And then also, again, as you've said many times, just focusing on those positive things and what keeps you moving forward. It's all really, really great techniques. So whenever you think about Let's Make the World a Better Place and all of that you guys have accomplished, what would you say is like one of your favorite highlights?
I think like I really love what we're doing right now. We have mental health care packages that we're funding and placing into schools and placing into outpatient mental health services. And I really like, it sounds so strange, but like the thing that I like to do is just watch like the basket in my counseling office go down and down and down, and like watch like as like the care packages are being taken away, because it's something like I'm just going about my day at school, but like watching it over time, like, because a lot of what we do is places where I won't be able to directly see the impact, but I mean, I know what's going to be happening there. Like, I know that students are probably getting them, but I'm never gonna like see them. But being able to watch in my own school as people are like benefiting from them, it's very rewarding to think about. And also just being able to talk to other youth who are passionate about the same things has been really amazing. Like I went to a event out in Pittsburgh in Beaver County, and I spoke, and it was this group of like 350 students who were all there because they were passionate about mental health and connecting students in their county to be support systems for others. And just like being there, like not even like when I was like talking, but just like being in the presence of all those people was so amazing as well, because it was like kids like way younger than me. There was like middle schoolers there too, and
That's
they were
amazing.
It really was like the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. And to think like so many of them were sharing their stories as well. To think that so many of them had like they had the courage to do that, and they felt safe to do that, and to see like that progress being made in front of my own eyes is just so amazing. So those are a few of like my favorite things.
Those are great stories.
Thank you. Also, just being able to taste test everything is very fun.
It's the best perk of all.
It is when there's like a few extra cookies laying around.
That's awesome. So, with everything that you've learned in the last couple of years and all of the people that you've been introduced to and these experiences that you've been having, what would you say is something that you wish your peers knew about mental health?
That everybody goes through it, whether it's positive mental health, whether it's negative mental health, that it's not like something that you choose to have as well. Like, I think there's such like this assumption that certain people will experience like mental health things more than others, or that like there's like one specific type of person who like has mental health issues, or that the person who's like really loud and funny doesn't have mental health issues, but the person who's really quiet does. And I think that it's just like just being aware that everybody's going through it, and that the people who you least suspect are probably going through it as well, and to just be empathetic of that, because whether it's like a little bit, whether it's, you know, just being a little bit stressed, which is still completely valid and completely like, you got to be aware that that is so valid to take a minute and to, you know, respect the fact that you need some time to respect yourself. And, or whether it's like an intense something that's going on with intensely with your mental health, just, you know, being aware that like a lot of people are going through it and that you aren't alone. And it's so like, that's so many people say it, but you really are not. And that everywhere you will turn, there will be someone who's experiencing similar things to you, or who can, you know, relate to you in some way. And there's more people out there that support you than you'd expect.
It's very well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
What do you wish the world at large knew about mental health?
I think, you know, like, I think the same thing, but I also think that I wish, like, the world at large knew how, you know, lots of people really are trying to make change, and that change is not going to happen like this. And that I think, like, there's this big, you know, this, like, desire to create change that, like, makes people expect it to just, like, come poof, like, instantly, like, suicide rate's gonna drop so fast, and, you know, everything's
Right.
gonna get all better. But, you know, it takes time, and I just, like, I urge everyone to be patient, because progress sometimes inches slowly, and, like, you have to be patient for it to, you know, get better. And yeah, just, like, I wish the world knew that this, like, even, like, if someone that has, like, perfectly, like, good mental health, I wish, like, well, not saying that they don't, like, I think that a lot of people do know, but I think a lot of people don't prioritize it as much as they should, because it's such, like, a part of every human, every single human, all of them.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have a mind, you have mental health. Full stop. And I love the fact that you brought up earlier that, you know, whether you have good mental health or bad mental health, or you're just having a day, you know,
Yeah.
it's all still mental health. Good mental health is still mental health, right? And I love the fact that you brought in this idea that people expect change to happen very rapidly. And I'm always reminding myself, because I tend to fall in that bucket. Of course, I want change to happen in the past, you know? So without being able to do that, you know, it's like we have to remind ourselves that things do take time, and even just changing ourselves takes time, right? And then trying to change a bigger picture, like mental health stigmatization and reducing suicide rates and all of these things. It is a tremendous effort that cannot be taken on by just one person, and the whole world is a participant.
But even then, like, one person can make an impact.
Absolutely.
I like to remind myself that much of it. Like, sometimes I get so, like, I'll have days where I'm unmotivated to do something for Let's Make the World a Better Place, and then I remember that, like, literally one of those mental health care packages can make a difference. Whether it's, you know,
to one person, it doesn't matter.
And
it's enough.
I always go over in my head, like, the person who is getting it could just be stealing the Hershey Kisses out of the bag, or they could be reading the note and, like, it could change like their course that they're gonna go over that week. And I like either or, just like knowing like it's impacting someone, and whether it's, you know, something that just makes them a little bit happier, that the fact that they're, you know, having candy, like, it can still have, like, it has a positive effect.
I do agree with you on that, and I thank you for the reminder, because every little drop of impact matters and sends out that ripple effect as well.
Yeah.
Right? So every action has a reaction, and I love the fact that, you know, you just send those packages out into the world and let them land where they may. And, you know, if it's Hershey Kisses that are making your day better, amazing. Glad you got your Hershey Kisses. So is there anything else that you would like to share about anything that you've been going through, or what we can look forward to next with Let's Make the World?
I mean, just like reminding that, you know, I do all of this advocacy for mental health, and I do all of this work, And I mean, I myself have my own mental health issues, or not issues, like, you know, just different. To remember that some of like the people who display themselves the strongest have their weaknesses.
Yes.
I think that's a good thing to end on, is just to remember that and to be empathetic to everyone, no matter if they look like they are super strong and, you know, taking it well and everything like that. Like, you never know.
Yeah,
So.
you definitely never know.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you so much for sharing, Sophie. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time and your story and your heart and your generosity. And I can't wait to see what y'all do next.
Well, I thank you for having me.